we'll take any questions.
Did you consider making a nonpartisan argument instead of, as you said, making this inspired by Governor Casey?
Well, actually, it is nonpartisan. Anybody that, any elected or any voter that decides to participate in this is either Democrat or Republican, and it really makes no difference in what they are. I mean, nonpartisan in what regard? If we're looking at a governor who has basically ignored some of the issues that are extremely important that will devastate a certain element, a certain portion of our government and our state and voters, it is kind of devastating. We're not going to dance around this. This is, in fact, about what the governor has done, what the Republicans are doing with one-party rule, what they're doing about ignoring the wishes of a good portion of the state of Ohio. And we feel very strongly that if every branch of government is controlled by Republicans, we have a responsibility to stand up to that and question their authority and question them every chance we can get. The only element that is left in us, in our ability as legislators, is to try to enact legislation like this that will give the voters an opportunity to recall the governor or any other office holder.
And let me say, this is not, the threshold is 15%, which is a pretty high threshold. It's not something that will lead to constant elections or constant campaigns. This is a threshold that's pretty high. It comports to how other states do this. And so we think it's something that's reasonable, rational, that we in the state of Ohio should share with other states. That we've got someone who's very, very unpopular, in a political sense, but just someone who's very, very unpopular, that Ohioans should have the ability to recall that officer and elect someone new.
Why do you think that you'd have any success moving this? Republicans control both the House and Senate by sizable majorities, so are you going to try to do an initiated piece of legislation if this doesn't go anywhere?
Bill, as an elected official, I'm not sure if I'm saddened by the need for this, or simply astounded by the fact that there is such a need. We know that the Republicans control everything. We also know that there's a group of individual voters who have grown disgusted with an approval rating of 30%. They have grown disgusted with the governor. And there is an opportunity for us to take this issue to the people. The Republicans, who do in fact control every committee and every office in this state, will have to suffer the consequences of either giving us one hearing or killing the bill. Representative Foley and I will be vigilant to that. We'll let the voters know exactly what's going on. If they stand in the way of this legislation, the voters will in fact know that every step of the way.
Is that the purpose? I mean, realistically, you don't expect them to pass this, right?
Actually, to be honest with you, no, I don't expect it. I think it's important that we talk about it. I think that they should pass it. It would have an impact on whoever it is that becomes the governor. Legislators across the land, across the state of Ohio, will be impacted by this. I think that they would be foolish not to have some hearings and have this discussion. I think it would be even more foolish for them to stand in the way. What we've seen in the past, how foolish they can be.
And I gotta say, can I just say, so I'm serious, I've had people come up to me in meetings who've done research on this. They're so angry at this governor. I've got a teacher, Heather Nagel. She teaches high school social studies. She's got her students working on this right now, and other social studies teachers in her high school. They're so angry about the lack of debate that supports kind of what they believe is a rational collective bargaining process in this state. That she's done all this research for me. In fact, she's been pushing me, and other folks in my district have been pushing me. So when we're acting somewhat to constituents in my district who are saying we are angry, we're really angry, and we've got no recourse. We need some avenue, some method to come back and recall the state legislature. So that's part of it. Is that part of it is what Bob said before? Is that this is other states have this process. This is part of a national agenda. It's a national agenda that Republicans are kind of foisting on the middle class, working class families across the state, and we feel we have a responsibility as legislators to react.
This whole situation in Wisconsin, is that playing into your thought behind this? And if so, how? What are your thoughts about it?
part of it is Wisconsin has a recall provision, right? So people want to know why, if they can do it in Wisconsin, why can't they do it in Ohio? Why can't we do it in Ohio? Under current law, we can't. So sure, people say, I think 8 senators now they've got petitions out on 8 senators, Republican senators in Wisconsin, and they're working on the governor. And they wanted that same right here in Ohio. That's what we're.
I don't think we have seen as much interest in an issue as we have seen not only Senate Bill 5, but in the recall. And 3,000 of my very closest friends on Facebook, they have all indicated, not all, but a good portion of them have indicated that they want recall. They want the ability to recall elected officials. And it is grown out of the fact that a governor who has a 30% approval rating, an individual who has total disregard for the voters and disrespect and disobeys in many cases the employers, that would be the taxpayers, in what they really want, has to suffer the consequences, including myself. Don't forget that this has an impact on legislators as well. So, this is bringing government and democracy back to the local level, to the state level, giving us the opportunity, the people, the opportunity to go after their public officials if they're not happy with them. Look, I've been against term limits for the longest time, because I believe sometimes people want quick answers for the problems that they're having. But this is something that is needed when people are saying, we were fooled, perhaps we were lied to, perhaps the governor, through the 30-second commercials, disregarded what he really stood for, and people basically are coming to us saying, that's not what we thought we were going to get, and we want recourse. We don't want to wait 4 years. We don't want to wait 2 or 4 years for the House or Senate members or any of the state office holders. They want the ability, if they can do it. And the criteria, of course, is a little difficult with the 15%. If they can do that, then they should at least be given a hearing and should at least go to the ballot.
Why do you think Ohio has drawn a distinction all these years between local and state officials when it comes to recall? Why do we allow the local level and not the state?
I don't know, and I think that's one of the things we're trying to remedy here is to give citizens the right. They can recall someone at the local level. We're going to give them the right. We want to give them the right at the state level. So I don't know why it's not been that way in the past, but we want to make it consistent across the board.
Is there a chance, though, that a political party or an outside group could abuse this process, come in, once a year or something, try and recall a governor or an elected official, try and, if not get them out of office, at least make them spend so much money that it kind of hampers their ability to win re-election?
You mean like the Koch brothers?
For example.
Don't forget, we're aware of what's been happening here with the dollars that have gone into campaigns from outside sources. We're certainly aware of that. And we know that the system can be, if we're not watching it closely, can be corrupted by that. Campaign dollars have been the worst thing that has ever happened. The unregulated campaign dollars is the worst thing that has ever happened to democracy. And now we're finding the results of that. You're absolutely right. We have to be vigilant about that. The organizations from Virginia, all of us have gotten advertisements from them. The Koch brothers certainly are promising to do everything they can. That what is it, America something has another group that promised to put $4 or $5 million against SB 5. We know what's happening, but we also know that you can't beat the people when they have the will to raise up and petition their government and vote in a way that takes back their democracy. And I think you're seeing that, and I think you're seeing it more and more across this country. We know what's happening. Those of us that are closer to the labor movement know exactly what's happening to collective bargaining throughout the United States. When the American Legislative Exchange Council, ALEC, the group that just sponsors Republicans and very right-wing conservative issues, is sponsoring a lot of the legislation throughout the land. We know where that's coming from. And they're having these conferences and we're reading from the same playbook. I mean, it's Karl Rove and a few others that think they can do this to us. And those of us on this side of the aisle, regardless if we're in the minority, will stand up and fight for the taxpayers of this state.
And let me just, it's 15%. So it's a 15% threshold in order to get something on the ballot. It's a pretty, it's a large number. It's, for a referendum, it's, what is it, 6%?
6%.
which is going to take a lot of work just to get the 6%. So this is a large number in order to get. So I don't think it's going to happen, across the board every year in a new political cycle. As I said, I don't think this is going to kind of devolve into constant campaigning. I think it's what our intention is, that this is for these kind of serious events where we feel we have right now, where we've got a governor who's so unpopular. He's got 3 3/4 years left in his term, and there's no recourse for voters to do something.